All right, today we're talking about something pretty cool. Basically, the user's guide to planet Earth. Yep, we're diving into geography. And trust me, it's the subject that ties everything together, from, the highest mountains right down to the busiest city streets. So let's jump in.
Have you ever just stopped and wondered why? Like, why are some places deserts and others are rainforests? Or why do you almost always find a big city right next to a river? These aren't just random facts for a trivia night. The answers are all baked into geography, which is basically the science of how our world actually works. So where does this all start? Well, it's actually pretty simple. The word geography itself comes from two Greek words. You've got geo, which means earth, and graphy, which means description. Put them together, and what do you get? Literally, a description of the Earth. Simple as that.
Okay, but describing the Earth, what does that really mean? I mean, think about it. That's a huge job, right? You're talking about everything from the deepest ocean trench to the most crowded city. How on earth can one single subject cover all of that?
Well, the answer is you break it down. The entire massive field of geography really boils down to three main branches. Just three.
Okay, so what are they? We've got physical geography, human geography, and environmental geography. Think of them like three different pairs of glasses, right? Each one gives us a totally unique way to look at and make sense of our planet. So let's start by trying on the first pair.
First up, physical geography. This is all about the planet itself. You can think of it as the natural stage where the whole human story plays out.
Yeah, it's like the hardware of planet Earth. We're talking about the raw materials, the rocks, the water, the air. All those fundamental systems like mountains, rivers, and of course the big ones, weather and climate. All the stuff that literally shapes the ground beneath our feet.
And speaking of weather and climate, this is where a lot of people get mixed up. So let's clear it up. Weather is what's happening right now outside your window. Is it sunny? Is it raining? Climate, on the other hand, is the long-term pattern. Here's the best way I've heard it put. Weather is your mood today, but climate is your personality.
And you know what's really wild? All these physical things are so deeply connected. So you have tectonic plates pushing against each other, and boom, you get these massive mountain ranges, like the Himalayas. Then, those huge mountains catch snow and rain, and that becomes the source for giant, life-giving rivers, like the Indus. But, and here's the catch, that same plate movement that built the mountains also makes the whole region a hotspot for earthquakes. You see? It's all one giant connected system.
And that is exactly why this stuff matters so much. This isn't just for a textbook, right? Understanding the physical world is absolutely critical for predicting natural disasters, for figuring out where to grow our food, and for managing precious resources like water.
Okay, so if the physical world is the stage, then who are the actors on it? Well, that's us. And this brings us right to our second branch, human geography. So with human geography, we're shifting the camera lens, We're zooming in from the planet to the people on it. This branch is all about exploring where we live, why we live there, how we build these massive cities and countries, the economies we invent, and all the incredible, diverse cultures that make our world so interesting.
And this is really the story of how our societies get built. First, we create settlements, right? Like Karachi, which grew into this huge city. Then we figure out how to use the land to build economies. Think about wheat farming in Punjab. Out of that, all these unique cultures start to pop up. And what do we do next? We build massive transport networks, like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, to link it all together.
And that's why this branch is so important. Human geography helps us tackle those really big questions, like why do people settle in certain places and not others? How do our economies actually work and grow? And what are the forces that shape our cultures?
All right, so we've got the physical world, the stage. We've got the human world, the actors. But what happens at the point where they meet, where they interact? Well, that's our third and final branch, environmental geography. And it's all about that critical, complicated relationship between people and the planet.
Now, this branch really looks at the two-way street between us and nature. It studies the impact we have, and let's be honest, it's a big one. We're talking about things like air pollution from factories, or cutting down forests, which can wreck the soil. And of course, the huge global challenge of climate change, which we can literally see happening with things like melting glaciers.
But it's not all doom and gloom, and this is really important. Environmental geography isn't just about pointing out the problems. It's also all about finding the solutions.
And the key idea here is something called sustainable development. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's just the big idea of using what we have today in a way that doesn't mess things up for the people who come after us. A perfect example? Choosing clean solar energy instead of burning fossil fuels. That's sustainability in action, right there.
When you get right down to it, this is the branch that holds the keys. It's how we're going to solve our biggest environmental problems and, protect this planet for everyone who comes next. Okay, so let's tie this all together. We've looked at the planet, we've looked at the people, and we've looked at how they interact. So what's the big takeaway from all this?
Well, it really comes down to this. Geography is so much more than just memorizing maps and capital cities. It's the study of the Earth, yeah, but also the people on it, and the environment that links everything and everyone together.
So remember those 3 lenses we talked about? Think about it this way. Physical geography looks at the world and asks, what's here? Human geography looks at it and asks, okay, what are people doing? And then environmental geography comes in and asks maybe the most important question of all. How do these 2 things interact?
And here's the thing, you can't really understand one of these without the others. They're all pieces of the same puzzle. It's only when you put all 3 together, the physical, the human, and the environmental, that you finally get to see the complete, totally interconnected picture of our world.
So, in the end, that's what geography really is. It's a toolkit. It gives you the power to read the world, to see the patterns, and to understand your own place in it. So the question is, now that you have these tools, what are you going to use them to understand?